Yeah, good afternoon. Welcome to the 1873 TV. We are looking at the goings on in Zimbabwe. I think particularly testing this idea of the applicability of the Constitution and the limits it imposes on human actors. We have seen events unfold, contestation for what people assume to be power, and what we don't know is what are the obligations imposed by the Constitution. Where do we stand on that? To join me in the conversation is Wildfire DJ. Welcome.
Thank you to the viewers.
So here we are talking about Zimbabwe, the never-ending story, a small country with a lot of conversations. We touched, I think, a bit on the Kasukuwere drama, and today we are not necessarily focusing on the person of Kasukuwere, but or Professor Jonathan Moyo Chombo, but what lessons we can draw from what has transpired in Zimbabwe. So I just wanted maybe to provide a frame for this conversation, just to see what a house can be following the actions of men. So we'll play a tape. I think some have already seen it, but we're just playing it just to give a context of what things can become. Today it's Kasukuwere and others. Tomorrow is you. So fasten your seat belts and watch.
Vangada toparadza vanga sina tombouya uzosiya munhu upenyu uzi panapa ndo pamwe papazo ndo pega paparadza mota havana kungobata saka mai ave nhasi togoneka kana mueni mubhushi mese kana mumabhushi mamanga mamufamba munambomoni papa apa vaigona kuzotopinda mumba because apa vato fanya pabha panapa pakatoita mabara mangani 3 kwakuziva kuseri kwese kushenda kujimu kwakuna ofisa uku kusenda kuno tiri nechef seru kitchen
Hello? Hello? It's still playing. Let me. Yeah, hello?
Yes, hello.
Yeah. So that was it. We saw what happened, and we can see what can go wrong. We have a number of people who are watching and observing. One is focusing on Wicknell. I think there's a story that is making the rounds.
Yes, the story was picked up at 5 a.m. this morning.
Is that
don't know how far.
Is that true, or is
we still don't have confirmation of that story, but we're still checking it out to find out exactly if it's the truth or it's just people making stories.
If there's someone with the truth about it, please let us know. Welcome, Grace. Welcome, Rangai. I'm not sure whether Wicknell is safe, but what we are looking at is the impact on public policy, the impact on active citizenship, and those who want to be active in what some people may call a developmental state. What are the risks? What are the opportunities of participating? It's not riskless, as we have seen. It can go wrong. And Edson Chakafa said, go deeper, Mr. Mawere. Yeah, let's go deeper. What is a government? When we look at a government, sometimes we think that government is something foreign. Some of us don't even know what is the promise and what should be the limit of government and governmental power. And Edson says Wicknell should be just logged in and throw the keys away. I guess the presumption of innocence will then evaporate, Edson. Should the accused enjoy any rights in your country of choice? If it was you building a Zimbabwe from ground zero, what kind of Zimbabwe would you want? Where we convict people by speculation, by innuendo, by gossip, like now a person ordinarily who is going about their own business, they then, the whole world is now spreading a new narrative that you could be arrested. And we tend to thrive on this bad news. Even now, people don't want to talk about the deeper issues that are pregnant in the use or abuse of public power. And that's the tragedy we face. That actually people have less appetite to deal with the real issues that emerge from the use of their power. They don't seem to care about the power that they possess. They don't seem to care about how that power is then used in resolving disputes that may arise from time to time. So, Walford, do you see that as a problem? Wildfire? Wildfire? It looks you can't hear me. do we see that as a problem? That generally we don't want to talk about issues. We want to talk about people. And those who suffer most become our subject matter. Somebody is asking, where is Undenge and Josh Chifamba? If I knew, I would tell you, but my ears are already full with the names of people that really don't add value to me. So assume I knew, what difference would it make in the conversations that we should have ourselves about democracy, how best democracy can be democratized, how best can we test that a country, whether it's democratic or not? How do we do it when people don't want to talk about power? Does this mean the whole G40 are on the run? You are asking, Amanda, you're asking a valid question. How big was the G40? One would assume that for you to be called a group, it can't just be two or more. There are some people who have already soon disappeared. In fact, they don't even want to talk about their relationship to this grouping. Then how best do we create this society that we think we ought to be part of? What do we need to do? Because the appetite for real news, real conversations, it seems to evaporate the sooner we begin to talk about something. How best do we incorporate these ideas that define who is who in the mix? I see there is a comment. Chieza, the biggest strategy, say Mawere, is when one thinks his current position is permanent and abuses resources around him to cause mayhem to the now weak. Yeah, I guess you got a point. Whenever even I am in the comfort of my own quietness, I rarely think of the people I don't know. And I've never found a human being who is capable of rising above others to begin to think about the people they don't know. So if we look at societies, we all want our societies to be great, well governed. We want the best there is in the system. And yet, when trouble befalls one of us, we are the first ones who are quick to point fingers and say you must fall. And the sooner you fall and the faster you fall, the more fulfilled we would become. Mr. Zaizobo says, how does targeting Kasukuwere&Jonso change the system as a whole? In fact, people personalize the system. They tend to cross over the bridge and say the system, which includes them, must exclude them and let two or more shine. Then we defer decisions, thought, action to others, deliberately to see them fall. And we don't want to take responsibilities. Clement Magawa, former Minister of Power and Development, Samuel Ndenge, should also face the music of by directing Zesa to pay $5 million to an ex-convict for the Gwanda solar project, and up to now not even a single solar panel that was bought. That should now be handled and by the system, if it still exists. If it doesn't, then we ought to talk about the non-existent system. Does it exist? If it doesn't, let's talk about it. Do you think there is a system of governance that will then produce this selectivity? Because we want it to be selective, we want it to operate to the people targeted, but we may not want the system to operate to third parties who are not targeted. Is it fair and just for us to limit the application of the law to only the people we don't like? Or we should allow the law to take its own course, irrespective of the victim of it? So that's what we face. We face a problem in terms of the application. I see there's a call. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah?
I think
Okay.
3 minutes in
Okay, thanks. Okay. Hello? So my co-participant is on his way. So we see him when he gets to the station. So there we are. We want the world to change. And how do young aspiring people living in the diaspora join Zim politics government in order to contribute to the development of their country? One is ideas. Wherever you are, Bianca, it doesn't matter. The technology has allowed us to be able to be connected. If we are connected, we can equip each other with the correct knowledge, the correct DNA. And we need to be able to talk about the rule of law. But imagine you were Professor Jonso. He could have been teaching in University of California. He could have been teaching at University of Wits or University of Zimbabwe. And just lie low, take chances, win this contract, win that contract. Do the best that you can. There are people who entered into politics. No sooner had they entered into politics than they were abandoned by most of us to then begin to find their space in the murky waters of politics. There are some people who started this journey from the Liberation War. They don't know anything else except be who they are. There are some people who joined the struggle, went to school, had other professions. There's a mixed bag. But what kind of Zimbabwe do you want? It starts as an idea. Even a house, before you build it, it must start in your mind. And that's what we are asking. The idea that a person can shoot into your house when all they could do is knock. They're already armed. What is the point of shooting into someone's house? And when you shoot, is it shoot to kill? Then what does it do for the confidence that we need for people to leave the diaspora, come back, and we assume that if you are educated, then you are going to be a positive contributor. Then we subtract them every day. These so-called educated people, they leave the country and they have nowhere to go because they are no longer wanted. If they committed an offense, let's deal with the offenses and let's talk to the offenses, not talk to the people. Then Tadiwashe Chizenge, the system has never been fair, but we rejoice the lock-up of thieves. Okay, the idea that we enjoy to look up, it means we are effectively disincentivizing people who may want to serve. And yet, when they serve, we want them to be poor. When they become poor, they don't inspire us. When they don't inspire us, we say they are useless. When they become rich, we talk about them. Imagine the whole government reduces to 2 or 3 people. Where are the rest? What were they doing in cabinet? When did they discover that Mugabe was obsolete and needed to be removed? Why couldn't they do that in 2013? Why wait for an opportunity to pronounce themselves? Is it the kind of Zimbabwe that we want, where we wait and pounce on somebody because they're down? And we revel at the idea of people being down. Is that the kind of Zimbabwe that we want? Is it what you expect from your own government? So, the creation of a new and better society is done when forgiveness and tolerance and level-headedness is applied to all, regardless of our past. We can't have the Tutsi Hutu scenario in our country. Let's forget the past and move forward to repair and mend the destinies ahead of us. We are not saying let us forgive and forget. Let there be processes for which these things can be handled openly. What if the last 37 years there was no standard as to how one should behave as a minister? What if some joined a gravy train that was already in motion and all they expected was just to keep on riding wherever they were going and take the exit whenever they feel like? I agree with what you are saying. Let's discuss bread and butter issues, not people. Excellent, Bianca. Law does not have emotions. It is us people who abuse it to settle scores and further insatiable, predatory, greedy appetite. People are not interested in building communities and values that can promote rule of law, morality, and the generally polished societies which are organized. As long as we as individuals do not invest in the society we want, how many Africans run or invest in foundations, networks? That's where we are losing it. We don't invest in building communities. Most of us Africans are selfish and fail to transcend beyond our family business. Thanks for saying us, because sometimes we say them, choosing to take ourselves out of the us. As Aizobo says, if Kasukuwere&Jonso had so much power to be singled out, then it is testament to the redundancy of the rest of the people in government. So Emerson and his followers are admitting to have been useless in the previous cabinet configuration. Bernard Khadepe, it's obvious it's Lacoste versus G40. However, people are just happy that the RGM dynasty was removed in the process. And it's a massive step towards removing ZANU-PF from power. But what if ZANU-PF was never in power, Bernard? Who is in power? And who gives that power? Do you think voting gives somebody power they don't have? Do you think voting is a memory to allow those who benefit from it to be the beneficiary, who benefit from it, to know better and act better? So let's look at all these issues. Why elevate Jonso and Kasukuwere to a higher pedestal only to want them to fall? There is a video that has been shared by Grace. Yes, we need to focus on building the future, but we cannot just move on without a full comprehensive report of what transpired. Otherwise, we find ourselves in the same situation. These people know that Zimbabweans are forgiving, so we must not allow them to take advantage of us. How can we forgive them without knowing fully what wrongs they've done? But if you are shooting them, how are you going to learn? Imagine the army had gone to knock at the house and say, it's about time you explain to the people of Zimbabwe what you are doing. Why would you need the drama of shooting or bullets? Because the bullets have the tendency of offending the very democracy that we want. If you want to democratize democracy, the moment you use the bullet, the space shrinks automatically. Then you can't express yourself. It would have been nice to have Kasukuwere and Jonathan explain to the public how come they became so lucky, if it's lucky, and how come they ended up with a better relationship with material things of life. I have no doubt that they would have been able to provide their own version. Whether you believe it or not, it would have been another case. But now we don't have an opportunity. It's like some of us, we want a commission of inquiry to look at SMM openly, transparently. But what are people saying? Can you come and take your things back? All I'm saying is, it's not about things. Let's learn from it. But Mabans, what you are asking is what we have been asking all along. Let the people who acted, whose footprints are there, speak for themselves so that we can know better without favor or prejudice. Mabans, every revolution has victims. We must not kill anyone, yes, but we need the commission of inquiry. We agreed. We need it because it's your government. You are entitled to know. We are not saying that Kasukuwere and Jonso must not be subjected to a fair and transparent process where they are given an opportunity to give you their own version. They may say, if everybody was doing what I'm accused of doing, then let's start from 1980. I don't know, but they must have their own version because it's not their money, it's not their power, it's your power as well. So here we are trying to figure out. Bernard, it is clear that the army is in control of things at the moment. I don't know what the army can control. I know it doesn't control you and me. We just hope that they will make mistakes and allow for free and fair elections come 2018. But then what? Each generation of public office bearers brings with it its own characters. Remember, human beings by nature are not transparent, are not objective, are not rational, are not organized. Life itself, it's a big random walk. Simbarasham Nemba, hi, how are you doing? On the topic of the day, if the people means the Constitution of Zimbabwe, I disagree that this is the case because we have not heard of a warrant of arrest being issued for the two. Hence, the latter may not be the right position. Okay, you make a point. The Constitution must be adhered to. And that's what we are looking for. How do we get ourselves into a constitutional mode? How do we live by the prescripts of the Constitution? Where do we start? And Chieza, Mr. Wari, I think we are in a quagmire as a nation. But then how do we have such a dramatic institution such as a commission of inquiry? The majority of the thieves are in the current cabinet. We can have a petition and say we want to know the truth, but nothing but the truth. The whole project was to restore legacy on the basis of flushing out criminals. But what we are saying is the criminal must have an opportunity, equal opportunity, if any, to defend himself or herself. The moment we call you a criminal, then we are defeating the whole purpose. Because we need a court order by an independent and impartial tribunal. But the moment all of us become judges, then we lose something. Richard John is both. Ultimately, Zimbabweans were fed up of the Mugabes and those close to them. Even if it had not been the generals and ED, I don't think people would have cared much as long as Mugabe was rid of. After all, many were prepared to vote for Tranquilla just for the sake of change. I don't know what you're saying about the rule of law, Richard. All we're saying is, if you are tired, then, and you are missing in action of active citizenship, then the same will happen again. It will be Mugabe today, Mugabe number 2 tomorrow. Because human beings by nature are subjective, perhaps generally corrupt. And we are nepotistic. And people will remind you the moment you are appointed. Can you imagine if there was a confession of the lambs? ED would confirm now that he has more relatives and more friends than ever he had. And the people who were actually dissing him are the very people who are now closer to him and telling him, I was just playing decoy. I was getting intelligence. That's why I was with the G40. So how would you know who is genuine? There's no way you would know. Edzai is Wildfire here. I seem to have lost him. Okay. So we have Edzai. The people of Zimbabwe are taking an outcomes-based approach, which is not robust enough, as we need to create resilience through proper due diligence of what happened and how we can mitigate from recurrence. We should look into building institutions and communities that ensure accountability of those we have delegated our power to. That's well said. Tisia, the army should not take the place of the people. The army should not be seen reducing itself into civil and criminal matters, which the police are trained to do. The foot soldiers are trained to shoot and very little on pursuing and prosecuting alleged criminals. The very fact that the army is meddling into police issues is a travesty of what a democratic state should look like or behave. Tadiwashe, people wanted Mugabe gone, whatever means. The same opposition which termed it a coup endorsed it by marching with the army. To speak of rule of law in Zimbabwe is a fallacy. So what do you want there? You decide. If you don't want the rule of law, why have a minister of justice anyway? You don't need a minister of justice. You can just self-govern and say, whatever you do is fine. Why have institutions? What is the purpose of institutions? Why have the president anyway? If the law that applies to animals should apply to human beings, what is it that we want? We can't keep on saying it's a fallacy. Then, Grace, what is the role of a police in Zimbabwe as we stand now? I don't know, because those bullets were not coming from the police. The bullets you saw were not coming from the police. Webster Goredema, we need a judicial system which is not an extension arm of ZANU-PF. How do we secure it when we are playing along and mob justice, lynching becomes the order of the day? How do we secure a civilization where the judges are free to make their pronouncement? But if they see bullets around, who in his right mind would want to be a judge and venture into the unknown? Because tomorrow you'll be accused of taking sides with whoever is deemed to be unacceptable. So how do we do this while building institutions? Chedza, let me ask, what is the rule of law? Do the masses know it? Have we ever tried to apply it, and why has looked like it is a finger we hide with? Again, the rule of law limits the animalistic nature of us. It means we are a nation of laws. Even if you have stolen from me, I have no right to come and beat you up. I have no right to come and take the law into my hands. I have to wait for due process of the law to take its place, even to talk to somebody. Simbarash, at the moment, the situation in Zimbabwe is similar to the 1980 situation. In 1980, it was the Smith regime that people cheered against, and now the RGM regime. We are unfortunately falling into an ED regime, and West begin to believe that they hold the keys to much needed rule of law. Rule of law means and requires the justice and related institutions to be independent. This is not the case at the moment. Cry, my beloved country. It's not only a problem in Zimbabwe. It's a global problem. Even Trump would wish some judges were not on the bench. So it's not easy to secure the kind of system that you think will provide fairness. Sounds like a dead end. We're stuck either way. We are not stuck. When we begin to understand that even Jonathan Moyo, Jonso have rights, Chombo have rights, then we are getting somewhere, because we then begin to understand that the law is there, the rule of law is there to protect the weakest person in our society. Antonio Muvunde, people tend not to understand economics. You can't make someone better off without making someone worse off. Hence, G40 is fat. That's right. You can't strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. Then who would want to be strong anyway? If these people we're talking about were the strong people in Zimbabwe, and we are watching Vuvuzelaling while they are being treated to unorthodox measures, then we know we are kissing ourselves a goodbye to the kind of system that ensures that even a person without a name would go to a judge and get justice, not to look at my character or how strong I am. Because there are some people who will never be convicted of anything. Taduashe, it's a fallacy. Democracy in Zimbabwe has never been a rule of law. For a long time, judiciary is independent. Did you see the judgment on Chombo? The judge clearly showed unbiased. Okay, the judge, but after the magistrate. What if this judge is the only one? Or is one of a few who has to think about their own safety first, and then they make a judgment? So how do we make sure that these people are given the full benefit of the law? Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you see where we are.
I'm quickly catching up.
Yeah, we're still debating and battling the idea of this democratic order, or whatever we call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have questions that are, I think it was Tadiwashe that
is it the one who says, is it a fallacy? Is it a fallacy democracy in Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's never been a rule of law for a long time. Judiciary is independent. Did you see the judgment on Chombo? The judge clearly showed unbiased.
I don't know what it means. Unbiased, or it's called unbiased.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the unbiased, but I'm not sure what it means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, there can never be any rule of law without the people who want it. If we want the rule of law, then we have to work towards it. It's small actions that matter, and if we don't act ourselves, it means other people act on our behalf. So it's not so easy to get people to appreciate the limits and the promise of the rule of law. Only when you are in the situation of Jonathan or in the situation of Kasukuwere would you appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There is a video that has been Grace, what is the video? I can't I don't have the link.
I think she's let's see what video that is that Grace has just sent. But Grace, we need a proper link, not this one. It won't open.
We don't have a proper link.
Yeah, we don't have a proper link. That link won't open, Grace.
So I think I'm getting the repetition of the same questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jane Chakawia. Oh God, I'm not sure where God comes in the affairs of men, but we make choices, and we must accept the consequences of our choices. It tells us a lot about the things that we don't want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We made a choice, and some are celebrating without understanding what they're celebrating about. So what should we be celebrating about when it's your own government that you wish to operate in a manner that is acceptable, satisfactory, and beneficial to you? And I think there's a comment from Simbarashe As a people, we need to be aware of stage-managed efforts aimed at painting the illusion of an impartial justice system. If indeed the police were to arrest criminals on the same lines as Chombo, etc., then the prison system would be jam-packed. This Chombo drama will fade away in time for elections. That's one view expressed by Simbarashi. So we all have a different take on this idea of democracy. And ZANU-PF have always been allergic to the constitution. Again, Bernard, perhaps that's where we need to exchange notes and ideas. You talk of ZANU-PF being allergic, always having allergic to the constitution. Let's talk about people who are members of ZANU-PF. Let's name them and shame them, rather than build this identity called ZANU-PF. That is hollow without the people you allege are acting outside the four corners of the law. Therefore, I don't see how we would expect the constitution to protect any of the factions. Again, we are talking about unconstitutionalism, all the parties that are involved. And we are saying that they are perhaps, if only people were interested in promoting constitutionalism and protecting it, then we'll be okay. But people only want to protect it when something happens to them, which is a normal case. When that happens, it must give us an opportunity to reflect and to pick up the pieces. But we don't do so. So I'm sure if the G4 had succeeded in ousting the Lacoste faction, they would have done the same. You're so right. Whoever is in power would have their own crew, their own crowd. And it will be, I think, unproductive for us to say they must appoint people we want. Okay, Zaya is coming. I would like a Zimbabwe that ensures participation in the creative process and institution building. Okay. You like a Zimbabwe. Maybe. Does Zimbabwe have any appetite for anything? Or any feelings? Any mind of its own? Or we want the majority of the people who live in Zimbabwe to be engaged in building in their own institutions to solve their own problems. Protection of private property. Do we understand what private property is? How many of us actually understand what private property is? Accumulation of wealth here. How many people understand what wealth is? If they did, why would they be angry with the rich? How many people salivate when misfortune visits the so-called rich?
Right.
Care for the needy in society. Who is born to care for the need? How do we make sure that people are enabled to accumulate wealth if wealth is value? When they have more of it, they will soon discover that when they die, they can't take the wealth with them. So there's already a natural correction in life. However rich you are, you can't extend your life by 1 second. That's already a limitation imposed by nature. So even if you're a billionaire, you know that you will not be able to consume the billion. So there's a natural correction. So I don't have to be angry with a human being who is going to die or who has no capacity to defeat death. Limited government. Zimbabwe does not need government. We need it, but surely, do we want a government of people who think and act as if they own us? And we are the ones who have created, not God. We are the ones who have voted, queued, and voted. Then they treat us as we don't count. Do we want a government composed of people who say it is Chunichedu? Do we want Chunichedu? Tadiwasha, what should we be mourning about when the people who operate the system? I'm rejoicing that Jonso, Kasukuwere are at the other fence so that they feel how it is. I'm rejoicing for therefore. But what happens after you rejoice? Do you get a better meal? Do you get better food? Yeah? What do you get after rejoicing is what I want to know. What do we get? We rejoice, then what? Tisia, maybe you can read.
With that, Tisia says people were ululating when the white commercial farmers farms were invaded. People were elated when the court orders to evict farm invaders from judges such as Kabay were ignored. The judges who fought for property rights were forced to resign and replaced with conformists, and that was a non-event. The army is taking over the role of the police and people are celebrating. Citizens are being persecuted. Kasukuwere is a good example. Hence the spraying of bullets in his house. Can he account and behead when he is dead? People are busy celebrating and forgetting that there is rule of law. I think that is a concern. I think it goes back to the issue of as a people, we don't invest in knowledge, in knowing or investigating what the matters are at play. We just celebrate because something has happened, and we don't look at tomorrow, what will happen tomorrow. Kasukuwere and Prof. Jonso are out of the country. Why are they out of the country? If they had a crime to answer to, why not arrest them and let the law take its course?
Yeah. Okay, just you can proceed. Just excuse me.
Okay, right. We also have Simbarashe Munemba who says, Mr. M, what are you talking about? What you are talking about is the equivalent of pressing the reset button. In the political sphere, this means that the current crop of politicians somehow develop a conscious and somehow become capable of introspection. Without some kind of war, such a drastic overhaul to the establishment may not be possible. Right, what do we learn here? Have we taken a moment to actually look at the current crop of guys who have taken over, the likes of Chihuris, the likes of the president, the likes of Chinamasa, what it is that they've done in the past? What makes them clean right now, that they are the ones who are going after these so-called rogue individuals within ZANU-PF? Yesterday, we saw an article where Chinamasa was saying that there will be an audit on all ministers. Is he included in those that will be audited? Is Zimbabwean going to be included in those that will be audited? These are the questions that we need to start asking as a people. Instead of celebrating the downfall of individuals, let's invest in knowledge first. Let's get an understanding. What is it that ought to be done? If somebody is guilty or if somebody is accused of a crime, why not let the court of law be the judge? Why not let the court of law prove these people guilty instead of us as a people already being the judge and executioners before the court of law? All right, Grace, okay, let's see this link, if we can share the link with everybody else. Okay, Okay, Grace, I seem not to be able to get your link. It says your content is not actually available at the moment. Just give me a second and let me see if I can find you, Grace. All right, and let's go there. Where is Grace? Okay, Grace, I cannot pull it up from your wall until maybe I have to add you as a friend first. Grace, you can add me as a friend, and then I'll be able to access what is on your timeline. I just sent you a request there. All right. So your voice should be included in these matters. I mean, we're still going to have to play you the audio from Kasukuwere just to get a clear understanding of what really transpired, what happened. Because we can continue talking and talking, but I think the best people who can give us the answers that we are looking for are the individuals who are affected, the likes of Jonso as well as Tyson. All right, Grace, let's try that one more time, and let's see if it will open this time around. I don't know. This is a Gibbs. Grace, let's try that one more time, and let's see if
you know, the guys who are preaching Mugabe must go don't have anything else to say now. We really need to be alert to this. And if we want to have a sustainable future as a country, and we want sustainable change, we must make sure that we get rid of ZANU-PF. You know, the guys who are preaching Mugabe must go don't have anything else to say now. It was not about Mugabe. The whole entire system has to go, and Arthur alluded to that at the beginning. This is very important for Zimbabweans to understand. So do not look for the low-hanging fruit, the quick wins, the little, I must go back home and get a job. By the way, the Irish Americans have tremendously helped the Irish economy. So there's nothing wrong. Our greatest asset is our human capital, Zimbabwe. We've got a work ethic, which is world-renowned. We seem to love education, which is very good. And so because of this, we actually produce a surplus. We produce a surplus of human capital. There is nothing wrong with exporting it because the returns for the economy are fantastic. But not only are the returns for the economy fantastic, the fact that some of our people can go out there, mingle and mix with the best, and come back with intellectual capacity that allows us to compete at first world level is fantastic. Our only sustainable competitive advantage will be our ability to learn faster than our competition. And then the next thing for us as the Alliance for the People's Agenda is once you revive the Zimbabwean economy, you need to work on regional integration. The continent must rise. Zimbabwe on its own is not enough to sustain the growth of the continent. So you need South Africa to be strong. You need Tanzania to be strong. You need Zimbabwe, SADC rises. Yeah, you need the East Africans seem to be doing well with their corridors, their northern corridors. You need them to rise as well. The continent must be strong. If we're going to do away with what we see in Libya today, it is because we have responsible government on the continent that looks after its people so that the pull factors are stronger than the push factors. So if Malcolm wants to go home, he must go home because the pull factors within Zimbabwe are stronger than the push factors that got him out. He mustn't just go home because I need to go home. Of course, our families are broken. We understand this. Yeah, it is very, very sad that grandmothers will sing happy birthday to their children over Skype. They don't even know each other. You know, Gogo speaks funny. She says water instead of water. That part is very sad. Mugabe has destroyed the fabric of Zimbabwean society. And the danger is in our desperation to get everything back together, we're clutching at straw.
All right. Thanks so much, Grace, for that. I don't know. I have a feeling that we have been blinded so much and our focus has been put on the men of Mugabe instead of looking at the problems. Mugabe being an individual, Mugabe as an individual, are we saying he is responsible for all the mishaps of the people? What is it that we did to make a difference, to change the situations? The, Time to reflect and think. your comments on the audio that we just listened to. Say I, please, not we. Tadiwashe, speak for yourself. I'm in the media space, so I can use I'm not speaking about myself. You say you will celebrate. Please speak for yourself. Use the word I. What knowledge investment are you implying? What who was responsible for Murambatsvina? Then you tell me I should feel for these guys. Hell no, I drink to that. I'm not saying feel for these guys. All I'm saying is it's a bigger than you think. It's bigger than we think. Tadiwashe, you'll be surprised that some of the things that we have been blaming Mugabe for having been responsible for, some of these things he wasn't even aware that they're happening. You'll be shocked if we were to show you some of these proof, but he didn't know some of the things that were happening. Mugabe is just an individual. He cannot know the affairs of everybody. Face it, you call him a leader, then you abuse him for being a leader. You expect him to know everything that is happening in your streets, in your rooms, in your houses. At the time, who are you referring to, Tadiwashe? Who was the leader? I don't know what you are referring to, into reference with what when you say who was the leader at that time. You're saying Mugabe was the leader. He should be accountable. He was the accounting officer. I mean, there's 14 million plus people in Zimbabwe. What kind of a person would that make the man of Mugabe? To know the affairs of 14 million plus individuals, to know every problems that are taking place in Zimbabwe. Like I said, you'll be shocked that some of the decisions that were made, he wasn't even aware. But I cannot speak on behalf of Mugabe. Guess RG did not do this alone. Even ED was and still part of the distraction. Simbarashe, you're saying, at Stanley, I have come to view Mugabe as a system, not an individual. You see, that is where the mistake is. How do you view somebody as a group when a person is just an individual? Most of the problems we discuss stem from a system presided over by the individual. Okay. Pointing fingers to individuals won't help. We should all come together with different perspectives and craft a deal that works for the majority of the people. That is what works. I mean, we are blaming the man of Mugabe, who is gone now. We've got the new sheriff in town. Focus should be on what's next, not on what happened yesterday. Ghosts of the past are not going to take anybody forward. Right. We also have another comment. So why do we have a president then? Mugabe was the leader. He should be accountable for the accountable. He was the accounting officer. Who else there? TCSA. See, when you are discussing issues that matter, people care less. But the more interested in travel, those and hype. I think as a way of capturing more viewership, there is need to feed the viewers with their material and retain the lesson too as some form of edutainment. The introduction of comedy appeal and capture people into this discussion that matter. It will capture their attention. I don't know, Sia, what issues you would like to discuss that are comical. I think there is enough of comical stuff out there, and there is a need for such discussions to take place and to happen. Look, how many places would you go to that tackle such issues? Tomorrow we'll start blaming these individuals we call leaders because we didn't invest in knowledge today. Let's start investing in knowledge today so that tomorrow, when things go bad, or when things go right, we'll say we were involved as a people. Edzai says Trump is the president of the US, but he doesn't get it his way all the time because there are checks and balances. Citizens know their power and detect policy direction. Oh, I see, Mr. M, you back there?
Yeah, I'm back here.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Right. I think I'd gone far with we had an audio that we played that Grace shared, where one individual is saying Mugabe is to blame for all the problems, and I see a lot of people on the timeline are actually alluding to that fact that Mugabe is to blame for the misfortunes of Zimbabwe. But I'm wondering, how can he be responsible for 14,000 people, 14 million people?
Perhaps what they are saying is that the buck must stop somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That they elect him,
mm-hmm.
and he must be the one who is accountable for the conduct of the people. He is the one who appoints the ministers, not the people. Mm-hmm. So if we expect much from government and there is no delivery, then people are saying the person who appointed them on behalf of the people
mm-hmm.
ought to take the responsibility. In fact, they are saying that he overstayed because if staying was there to solve problems, then his extended stay did not produce the results that we expected. So if the results are not there, who should be accountable? So as I say, point fingers to individuals won't help. It doesn't help, but they say, why do we have fingers
mm-hmm.
when we can't use them to point?
Right.
So people generally want to blame somebody, and they want to blame anyone who chooses to do something, including the president. How many people don't even know what a president does in government, yet they are quick to point a finger.
Mm-hmm.
But without pointing a finger, then what do we have? Because human beings like to see blood mm-hmm. on the floor. They like to see others suffer. And bad news sells. What TC is saying mm-hmm. is make this subject matter comical, like mm-hmm. Trevor Noah, and make it stupid, make it understandable. Because right now, the people who really are serious are few. And the people just want to lynch. If you said, let's talk about Kasukuwere, how bad he is or how bad Jonso is, he deserves what he got, there mm-hmm. will be 1 million people cheering and participating.
Mm-hmm.
Because generally people want to see somebody fall.
But I mean, the idea of these conversations is to draw lessons and ignite conversations that will shape a better future, a better tomorrow. I mean, we talk about being active citizens. If we all become comics, what kind of a society are we building when we don't invest in literacy, when we don't invest in knowledge?
But they are saying, don't invest in literacy. They've had 37 years while they were sleeping. So they have been sleeping for a long time, thinking that Mugabe was taking care of their interests. So they actually don't know. And some don't even care. They only care about blaming.
Mm-hmm.
The president should have known better. He should have appointed his enemies in cabinet. He should have appointed competent. Don't even care. But the president himself is a product of an incompetent process called election, where people vote and the person who is then appointed or elected has no clue as to who voted for him or not. So we like that system. We like a system where we don't have anything to talk about. So if we don't, then these are the systems that we create ourselves. And sometimes we are experts at blaming others. Because we don't have any way of correcting ourselves. So democracy is the most expensive form of governance. It requires manure. It requires active citizenship. But simply the majority of the people, they want to consume rubbish in the marketplace.
I think we also have a comment from Justina Chiera. Says, I wrote this to the president today. So it reads as follows. Mr. President, as a Zimbabwean citizen living abroad for the past 18 years, I and many people around the world celebrated the change. You brought hope to us and the nation at large. Mr. President, you are our hope to eradicate corruption and brutality by the police and armed forces. It has only been 3 weeks and our hopes have been crushed. Seeing the soldiers who are supposed to protect the people of Zimbabwe beating people in the streets, men, women, and children hiding and terrified by the armed forces' conducts. Mr. President, this brings bad memories to many of us who grew up in Midlands in the 80s. The very people who are supposed to protect us are abusing the uniform and power and abuse your people. You, in your inauguration speech, appealed to the people abroad to come back home. Really, it's not a safe country if armed forces are brutalizing the citizens. That is a letter that Justina says she wrote to the president.
Okay, let's say the president sees the letter.
Yes.
And then he does Justina accept that the president is a glorified prisoner, that he owes no one anything tangible, that the decisions he makes informed by a very few circle of people. The majority of the people structurally are located outside state houses. They don't even know what happens in a state house. Yet this person is expected to know what we, the free people, know, which is not much. If we accept that citizens as human beings are incapable of knowing that which they don't know.
Yes.
So when we create even the forums like this, some people actually want to discuss trivialities because that's what it is. Instead of us organizing to say we need more informed discussions that are taking place, on the contrary, people actually prefer trash. And how do you cure that? Because the very people who are participating in this conversation actually sometimes don't even know how to share, how to ignite others, how to move from day to day, accumulating conversations and building a campus, an arena where issues of value are debated. Instead of Justina writing a letter, it will be the interest people who know what we are talking about. The president may be the last person to know what the police or the army are doing at the retail level, or what the ministers are doing. Even in his name, you may discover that after 37 years, Mugabe just discovered in 1980 just now. What happened in 1980 that he never knew. And he thought he knew everything. And we thought he knew everything. What if Mugabe is just another human being? What do we do? Do we elevate him?
Okay, I think we've got a problem with audio. Yeah, we've got a problem with audio. We're gonna have to refresh the pages.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you need to refresh from your ends. It might cut us, or it might cut off the broadcast. But let's refresh. If it cuts, then we can just create a new broadcast.
Okay, so I just go to the.
Yeah, I just refresh the page.
Reload.
Right, let's see if we can get back into the broadcast when the pages are refreshed as we try and sort out the audio problems. For a second, I thought it was my ends. I think it's from the main broadcast where the problem is with audio. Right, let's see if we get MDM back on the line.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's perfect now.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's so democracy works best when the people who benefit from it know what their obligations are. Ignorance and democracy are not good friends.
Right.
So yeah, you can write. You see, like I and many people around there celebrate the change. What change took place? Because you're just replacing one president with another. If you were hungry the day before, you still be hungry. We assume that this change is real change, but it's not change that we can believe in. So we don't want serious things. Thanks for highlighting one of the major weaknesses we have as a people. We focus on the sensual more than we come up with constructive measures that solve real problems. You want to speak about active citizenship, please follow life as the mini tragic, where 143 mental patients died, and currently there's a public hearing. The HOD is the accounting officer who takes responsibility, even if he was not the person on the ground. The Constitution is very clear. The president is supposed to uphold and follow the Constitution, so as to say he did not know is a silly excuse. He's the man in charge, and he's supposed to know. No wonder he appoints people to his ears. I guess that was for the people who are watching out there. Would you want us to talk about the day in a president? Because we talk about this person and give him a lot of responsibilities without actually figuring out what the person does or can do or cannot do. So that we are raising a valid issue. Active citizenship. Where should it start? Where should it end? What should the role of the president be practically? What should he know? How should he know it? Who is going to make him know? How many years does he have? How many hours does he have in a day? How many seconds? How many nanoseconds? How many minutes? How many days in a year? When it's dark, is it dark for him? So let's try to understand this person called president before we give him this supernormal ears, supernormal eyes. Let's understand the office. Let's understand the person, and then try to find an intersection between a human being, a fallible, mortal human being, and what a human being is capable of. Using me as an example, while I'm sitting here, I can't be doing something else. So let's try to be realistic. Let's not try to dream. Let's not try to. You may find that Jonathan didn't know what you know. You may find Kasukuwere didn't know what you know. Yet he was in the same cabinet. People, husband and wife, they can be married for 50 years. And you ask, you say, give me your WhatsApp messages. And I then ask the wife, did you know that your husband was not on a business trip? So how do we try to import our limited existence and make it limitless in respect of a president? What would he have done to earn this kind of wisdom and understanding and know it all approach? So let's not wish that others know better, act better, when they are just human like you and me. So maybe we can have a topic just that people don't want to talk. They want to assume that they already know what the president does. Like Tatuaje is saying. He's saying we are silly.
I mean, he's talking about active citizenship. He says we need to follow life as a Dimeni, where 143 people died. He says HOD is the accounting officer who takes responsibility. But hasn't he taken responsibility, Tadiwashe? If you are truly following the life as a Dimeni, you would understand that he was before the judge, where he actually admitted to signing a document pushing the dates forward, or pushing the dates forward in November, from April to November. So he's taking responsibility. So if you are really following that story, you would see that what you are saying in your comment doesn't really tally with what you're saying.
That's right. So, but I think it's easy to assume that other people, when they are president, they have a better claim on time that they must know and they ought to know. And there's a danger always.
But I mean, when you say educate, he has to do, it has to do with education, John. So he's supposed to know, because that is his spectrum field of practice. I mean,
how many professors are stupid?
I think that Tadiwashe has got a story to tell. Yeah.
College dropouts are smarter than the people with college degrees.
Correct.
Is it a matter of education? Do we want a government of educated people? If so, do you think education makes you know what you don't know? If an accident is okay 2 miles away from me, how would I know? If someone has just died now while we are speaking here, how would I know? Shouldn't I accept that I don't know what I don't know? And people give me the benefit of the doubt that I don't know. Imagine people had taken this view in 1980 and say Mugabe is human. Actually, he doesn't know what he doesn't know. Then would have limited the excesses of power. Because how many people think actually Mugabe had a compass, a navigation device of life?
I mean,
that
when you I mean, when you look at the current the conversations that do take place, it's all conversations that are pointing fingers and blaming one individual, and that is the man of Mugabe self, which is what Tadiwashi is saying here, where he says he ought to know everything because he is presumed to be the leader, and he's got 20 eyes to see everything.
Yeah. So that is the all this we have corrected the voice. I see the messages there.
No, okay, no, the volume is perfect now.
Okay. And Taduaje says he was requested to come through a court order. The HOD, he took responsibility in the hearing. Yes, he's the head of department. But Mugabe is not the head of department. Each, even the local area is represented by a mayor, who is the president of that area. You also have councillors who are also representatives of the people in the area where you live. And people die, but did he cause the people to die? He takes responsibility as a collective, but not because he had a personal knowledge of it. There are things that you can know as an HOD, there are things you can't know. Let's understand this business of responsibility, because all of us are responsible. All of us know what takes place in our vicinity, in our community. If someone steps on my toe, I would know it. I'll feel the pain. But surely I can't expect the president to take responsibility for my pain. People in leadership should be accountable. Let's know what leadership is before we condemn people. Otherwise, nobody would ever do the job. What kind of person do you want as a president? Do you want a person who knows, like Justina is asking, if the army goes and one guy goes and rapes somebody, the president must be accountable for the rape, not the person who committed the offense. Because I have to go to court. I have to go to court with something. I must have personal knowledge of what I'm talking about. He needs to know, mate, he's the leader. Your argument is weak, guys. Please follow the life. You can say that again. You can say that Tatuashe. For your interest, to please you, I can say the president is what? The
He's
president knows everything.
I mean, it seems hell bent in thinking that believing in leadership, and that leadership ought to know everything. I mean, Taduashe, not even Jesus Christ knew everything.
But I think that's where the literacy is. I think he's just expressing what is known to him, and he doesn't know actually what the issue in Esdemini.
Life Esdemini, yes.
I don't think Esdemini. I don't think it's. They are saying that he knew everything. No. But power comes with responsibility, citizenship. Imagine we are all talking about issues that matter to us. Active citizenship. What can we do today? Justina has taken one step. She has written a letter. And then we are saying, okay, you've written the letter. Let's unpack it. Let's see where the fault lines are. How best can we communicate this message so that the Zimbabwe that we dream of can happen in our lifetime. And he needs to know, yes, that's another. Panopaita knowledge, power. Grace, thank you. Sure, hamuna kuona here video yake na Pastor Sure. Kuti zvakawanda anga asingambozivi zvaitika. Why was anxiously calling for ED if he ever fired him? We have SK Moyo kuannounce kuti RGM fired ED. We demand to know his speech kuti yaka approve here na RGM kana aita Judas, kissing RGM. A leader is a public property that doesn't necessarily need to be educated, but need to extend a listening ear to the citizen. Yes, Webster, you are getting somewhere where we need to go to, but can you imagine the Pope listening to all the faithful Catholics, and he accepts the job of taking confessions? How long would you take, the Pope take, to listen to all of them? Would he still have a life? Simbarashe, the view you shared right now is accurate about we human beings. Some kind of laziness within ourselves and possibly scapegoat mindset. This is possibly the reason why folks are found enriching a pastor or nganga by paying so much money to those individuals, while we do not think to invest that money in places where the money can be multiplied. We go to the polls believing that the people who are voting into office are better than ourselves. Now our anger is misdirected to that effect. What we need is a justice system to be capable of, is to hold public officers accountable. However, this is a human system, and well, here we are. You are right, Simbarashi. That's what we need. We need to know, even for the wretched of the earth, they need protection. We can use them. Wasn't Jesus wretched? Wasn't he assassinated? Wasn't he killed? There's some people who are Christians would understand why Jesus is someone they have to talk about. But the people who were in power, they didn't want to hear that name. He was a subversive. He was a terrorist. So we cannot retail faith. We have to find a structure of supply chain where we can distribute something of value, even knowledge itself. There are people who are listening today who don't even bother what we are talking about. We are talking about big things. And thank that you, Webster, the notion of treating as a leader a separate entity and leadership does not hold water. When you speak of Google, we need to hear from the person who made the executive decision, who happens to be the leader. I don't know. If somebody come to me with a narrative, I have to believe the narrative. If somebody says your husband has got a girlfriend, I have to prove myself. What else can I do? But if I catch you red-handed, but if not, I have to believe what you tell me. And I have to accept your representation. But is that the truth? No. Do I know the truth? No. I only know what you allow yourself to reveal to me. If you bullshit me, I will know the best bullshit, and I may even repeat it. But to expect me to know everything, I think, Tadiwashi, let's be real. Where would I get the wisdom and the time to know everything that is to be known? I have no time. Leadership is about trust, agree there. It is not, leadership is a term that we abuse often, just to condemn one individual. We are all leaders. Because what I know, I can make a decision on and know that is the fact that has been revealed to me. But how am I going to know something I don't know, Tadiwash? Imagine I wake up one day, I'm not a leader. I take an oath of office. I go to this big house, lonely as it is. They call it State House, a house of the people. It's now my residence. I look around and I just want to call you and say, let's go for a drink. I can't do that. Then I sleep. in this prison, I only have one bedroom to use. In the morning, people come to see me. They treat me as if I know everything. They are even afraid of me, thinking I know everything when I don't know anything. And people call me a leader, and I accept it. Do you think it's fair? So let's talk about leadership some other time. I think our subject matter has been, it was a narrow issue where we were trying to establish, I think, to learn from Kasukuwere. We talk about leadership, we talk about all these other issues and active citizenship, except that we all don't have the time to go back and forth, back and forth. What really is our hope is that by talking to each other, we can ignite you. Then possibly you can take the lessons that we are sharing and be able to share with your own friends, people you look at. And let's say we are correct in our assessment. Let's see how far it goes through practical experience. I did not speak of everything, but public policy, like the soldiers walking in the streets, beating people, someone should take responsibility. Yes, they should take, if they know. What if they don't know, Tadiwashi? You must be able to tell them, like Justina has done. She has taken the next step. That next step involves making a person aware. And that's what we're trying to do here.
I think the problem here with Tadiwashi is he assumes that everything that is not revealed to somebody, that person ought to know, which is a danger that we face as a society, because assumption is very dangerous. We can't assume that Mr. M knows what Wildfire was doing throughout the day.
Then Justina says, why do you have the police in Zimbabwe right now? It seems like the army is in charge right now. They are roaming the streets and beating people up. No rule of law whatsoever. I'm sorry, it's a shame. Yes, you may say it's a shame, but the people on the ground may have different facts they're dealing with. I don't know what is going on. You may know better. But even in my own house, while I'm sitting here, I don't know what is happening in the kitchen because I'm not in the kitchen. But it requires people like you, Justina, to raise it as an issue. When you raise it as an issue, it means it then ignites action. Is it true? Like yesterday, Mushana was saying, this thing is so important, let's discuss it. And I said, I don't know if the facts. Somebody may take a video that was taken 3 years ago. Yeah. There's a video that is making the rounds. Mawere was with the first lady, but the video is old. But nobody will know it's old. Anyone who sees it today,
I think it's a new video.
It's a new video.
Yeah.
But the people will not know the circumstances, but people can make conclusions on that. I don't know where the facts are. The people who have the facts, let's encourage them to have a show where we can discuss and interrogate this idea that actually there are people taking the law into their own hands. And where is the limit? And the police, what are they doing? Even the truth about this whole enterprise, some people call it a coup, some people call it's not a coup, and some people call the glass half full, some people call it half empty. And you are describing the same. So all we are saying is there's need for citizens to be active and share. If you hear something, share. It becomes reality because we know about it. And if we can talk to the people who have been affected, let's do that. How do you know it was shared to them? So Mugabe did not know about Muramuzina. Why? Well, published reports about diminishing human rights in the country. You tell me Mugabe does not know that people are unhappy about Gukura whilst they have been engaged. I don't know what Mugabe knows. All I know that he didn't know he was going to be taken out of power. He thought they were looking for criminals. If there was any evidence that Mugabe is human, it is the fact that he's no longer a president.
I mean, had he known that this so-called coup was going to take place, wouldn't he have acted better? Wouldn't he have been prepared? This goes to show you that you can never know everything, Tadiwanashe.
So I think that Onashe has got a point to prove. So I think we get into that line of thinking, which is
thinking then we might just veer off from our discussion.
I think we'll get there if the subject is what did Mugabe know. Then maybe let's type it. Who is interested? Who is interested
in knowing what Mugabe knew?
Yeah.
And if Mugabe knew what I know, would he have been a president at that time?
Was it in knowing what Mugabe as president really knew? And if we know what he have done, then what should the way? Okay, so can we arrange a show called Imagining Mr. President? Just Mugabe. Okay. Okay, so I think we are there. Okay, Tadwasha Mugabe knew that a coup did. You asked him that he did not know. You amazed me, guys. Heads off. The problem is your narrative is not balanced, and if someone challenges that, it becomes a problem. No.
What narrative? No, maybe let's go back to his narrative. Which narrative has been a challenge, and which narrative is not balanced? We're just challenging. I'm just challenging your facts. I'm saying your facts are not are baseless, Tadiwanashe. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me what you're saying, because you can't tell me that one individual can know the affairs of 14 million people. Come on, Tadiwanashe.
I think Tadiwanashe, the point he's making is that as a president, he has an obligation to know. Then when we say what kind of country do we want to see, he would say he wants a president, he wants a country in which a president knows everything and is accountable to the people. That's what he's saying. So we are saying, let's have a discussion. That's one view. Then another view will test that view with the practicality of life. And he says which facts a leader needs to account. Those are the subsections of that conversation. I think the point you are making is that if you are a head of state, then you must know the universe of what is to be known. You can then tell us what is the universe to be known and how that person would practically know it, with the limitations imposed on all of us as human beings. So we are not arguing with you or trying to discourage you from holding your own view, but let's reality test it and see how far it takes. If it takes us to a destination where this person becomes superhuman, so be it. Then we want to know who clothes that person with the kind of ammunition to know everything. So let's say you are raising a fundamental issue that nobody's saying we are not raising it. There are people who have also assumed that President Mugabe and his wife were, the wife was going to be a president, and therefore the president knew what the wife was up to. And I think let's get into that. And Grace, even if we give him the video, what he's saying is different. That Mugabe, some people even say when he was young, he was in control. And we want to investigate that, whether age and control are related. Age and knowledge, whether they are related. If they are not, they are not. And then Justina says, to be honest, this new government is so ZANU-PF. I don't know what is ZANU-PF. Help us. Let's discuss, perhaps, Justina. You tell us what is ZANU-PF. Because we have heard this thing of ZANU-PF being like a human being. Yeah? Same views that ZANU-PF have views. There are people within ZANU-PF. But tell us, Justina, what is ZANU-PF? How does it become human? Life-threatening. Simbarashe, the president as head of state has a mandate to ensure that livelihoods are secured and ignorance on his part is no defense. Yes, you are making the point. What if ignorance is part of human existence? That we are all ignorant of something. And we know very little of what is to be known. Then when somebody becomes the president, surely what would give him these properties to escape the mischief of ignorance? I am ignorant about many things until somebody tells me something, or I read. Sometimes what I read is not the truth. So I don't know. Let's discuss the reality, the relationship between men and reality. She never mentioned that I wanted to be president. Neither RGM said it. And Judas were busy fueling the majority of us. Grace, you're right. We don't know what she said. She may have harbored the interest, or she may have developed the interest to say, if my husband, who is sleeping every day, can be a president, why can't I be? And if people come to me to make decisions that I'm not empowered to make, but they still come to me, First Lady, what do we do? First Lady, this one is a problem. First Lady, that one is a problem. Then I'm already de facto a decision maker. The moment you make somebody feel like they are important, they will act that way. So even if you give a fool the means not to be foolish, you only discover it's foolish after some time. How many people have been married to foolish people? Only to discover after some time that foolishness is in abundance. So, human, we need to understand what we're talking about. So, Justine, you may be in Australia knowing something about the Labour Party or which other party. How do they operate? Let's learn from other people. Let's not assume. Let's not become judges and say Mugabe ought to have known, because we know. And how many of the things that we claim to know actually mean nothing. So what we don't know, let's remain with the ignorance that we don't have, in the knowledge that we don't have to know everything. The moment we know everything, we are no longer human. Is there anyone who sees So I think the more things is ideas matter. How many of the people who are watching believe ideas matter? Just the idea of a president, what is that kind of animal? Some people will call it philosophy. Some people will call it an ideas conversation. The tragedies we want. And now I'm being accused of defending what? Mugabe. James Musende. Mugabe is gone and I'm accused of defending Mugabe.
And what's there to defend? It's just the facts, James. I don't see where defending is.
No, if you say anything that will seem to absolve the person of Mugabe, you are actually committing a sin. Because Mugabe is guilty as charged. Yeah. So how dare you defend a guilty man? And we are trying to be able to understand what power is, using Mugabe as an example. There's one hypothesis which says Mugabe knew everything, and therefore he must be culpable for everything. There's an alternative school of thought which says Mugabe did not know the universe of what is to be known. He knew about his wife, his children, and he cared about them. And you couldn't care about other people's children because he didn't know them. When he was looking for a minister of justice, he was only looking from a small pond, not from the bigger pond of people who could add value. The more he was in State House, the less he knew everything. Simbarashe says Zimbabwe, ZANU-PF, or not, the system that has groomed any current and prospective leadership is one that is fraught with loopholes that have led us to this platform. I believe we need to have a sound system, regardless of whether it is based on something. Yeah, and I think Justina comes back, and ED has been in this government since independence. He held a high-profile position in that Mugabe government. He was there when everyone was suffering, and also should retire. Okay, I don't know who should ask who to retire, because the last I know, Mugabe resigned, left a vacuum to be filled by his party, and that's what they say they've done. It's an internal ZANU-PF rearrangement. They are members of the same party, and obviously they can't control what you think. And I don't know what you think, Justina. I can only respond to what you're saying. But what really is in your mind, I don't know the universe of it. I don't know your reality, and neither would I know someone else's reality. I only know a bit of my reality if I choose to. But there are people I call friends who are not even my friends. But I still regard them as friends. That you are saying Mugabe didn't know about things that were happening, James, yeah. Mugabe was in charge when atrocities happened. Ignorance is no excuse at all. James, yeah, maybe you join the conversation later. We have been on that conversation, and we wanted to have a session where we can look at what is expected of this person called a president and what is the reality. Whose side are you, Mr. Mawere? Justina asks. I'm not on any side. If you give me facts, I will support the facts. I'll follow the facts than anyone. I'm not a puppy who will follow someone because they say something nice. But I am all for us as citizens being more informed. Unfortunately, the subject matters that we are dealing with do not attract many people. it doesn't attract the universe of minds. Say, Justina, let's talk about ideas, not about Mugabe, about Mnangagwa, about supporting. But already you are saying, who do you support? Therefore, you are already intimidating me into silence, Justina. Because why should that matter? Why should I support anyone? Why should I support? All my obligation is to vote. After voting, one guy will go into State House and he becomes the president. He doesn't even call me to say thank you. He doesn't even know who I voted for. So why should I care about someone in State House? Surely. Yeah. Is anyone in all manner of objective thing assuming that Mugabe was at any point unaware of the going on in the country, particularly major events such as the will of a motor? Yeah, so I think Alan, you have joined us later. You are raising the same questions that we have been occupied, bogged down with. So let's us deal with the reality of being a president. I think maybe that may be a starting point. Yeah.
I think also Simbaraje says I had opportunity to travel with one of the former Zim head of state. What he narrated to me regarding the collection of information from various corners of the country was nothing short of a genius. So my answer to the question, did Mugabe know, is yes. Maybe
you can say whatever. I've never seen a human being who can export his eyes to other people to see on his behalf, who can export his ears for others to hear on his behalf. What is the reality of a person, even in a household? You got kids, you think they're sleeping. Meanwhile, they've taken off. They put pillowcases. And
you assume they're still in there.
I get a phone call. Oh, Dad, I'm sorry. Where are you? I'm here. So I don't know. Willow scandal, when he knew, he asked the man concerned, guess what happened? He killed himself. When he knew, he put a commission of inquiry. So what we know is perhaps the problem. We are not sharing. Mnangagwa may believe that right now he's being made to believe that he is God sent. He is salvation in motion. He is Jesus Christ in action. Why would he pave the way for an ordinary retailer? You are raising, Tatuasho, you are raising a fundamental problem. Why do we have human beings being called leaders when they don't have capacity to lead or to know better? So let's ask that question and have a session where we are talking about that. And we have taken time, I think, to go back and forth among the people who are watching. Who is interested in interrogating this idea of what a president is and what a president is not? If you are interested in that, please, can you inbox?
Yeah.
Or just type why I'm interested in knowing, so that we can interrogate this idea, because I'm tired of people say, if I give an alternative view for them to think, they think I support Mugabe. What is there to support? I support him, then what? Then I eat a better meal. So Tatuasha, you'll be representing the Oxford style. Yeah. Bianca,
I think we also should include the aspect of leadership, where we interrogate the existence of leadership, whether leadership does exist or it doesn't exist. Because, I mean, many a times we are found wanting, because we assume that one individual should be in charge of everyone's affairs. What is it that we are doing? When everything goes wrong, one individual is blamed. Maybe let's also interrogate the existence of leadership.
Yeah, I'm saying let's try to define the questions. I think the people have said yes.
Yeah.
They have said yes to the first proposition. What should the first proposition be?
I think James also is asking, what are the qualities of a head of state?
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. Yeah, and Alan, that's yeah. What are the qualities of a head of state? Or should a head of state be human or superhuman? I don't know whether that speaks to you. By superhuman, we think we are saying that he must know. I don't know whether people can refine it. Should a head of state be human or superhuman? Do you believe that Mugabe was and is just a normal mortal and infallible human being? Those are my questions. I think you've suffered and fight for your rights too, Ms. Mawere. I'm tight. Yeah, I've suffered, but I've suffered more from ignorance than from knowledge. I've not suffered myself. I'm still eating 3 meals. I've not gone to a doctor to treat me for a Zimbabwe disease. But I'm still me. But the people who have suffered are people in Zimbabwe. The nameless. No, we are trying to frame the questions. Let's frame the questions so that we can schedule a time to have this discussion. Alan, I'm not asking you to answer the question. I'm asking for you to decide on what questions we need to be able to deal with to get to the bottom of this dispute. There are 2 versions. So what kind of questions do you think we ought to raise? And we need to raise questions that are igniting, that are encouraging people to be engaged.
I think also Tadiwashe says leadership qualities are not part of and parcel of electing leaders. Foolish leadership can be elected due to popularity. But at the end of the day,
let's schedule a discussion where
around this year,
where we have propositions. Make your proposition. I have asked my own questions. Yeah. Do you think Mugabe is and was a genius at the craft of leadership? If so, why? Those are the questions that would come to mind. So let's us train ourselves to define the problem and ask the questions that take us somewhere, rather than having conversations for the sake of conversations. So, can we have the questions or the propositions? No, Grace, we are not there yet. We want to be able to deal with this issue of a leader knowing. So, Simbarashe, do you want to be part of this conversation? Because you are already answering the questions. We are saying we have 15 minutes to go. Let's deal with what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because some people may think what they call running a business Yeah. What are the expectations from a leader? Okay, that's Bianca. I can live with that. And how realistic are these expectations? Because expectations okay outside the person. I guess Bianca, you'll agree with me that I may expect my father to buy me a better car, but it doesn't mean I get. Justina, I never left. I've been outside the country for the past 30 years. So I didn't go into exile. So let's get our facts correct. So I never left Zimbabwe because there was nothing to, I was outside anyway.
Yeah. So much education is needed and so much literacy has to take place.
Yeah.
Somebody, I mean, we've had people that say we need to talk about comical stuff, but we still have people that still need literacy and who still need more information on the issues of how Mutuma left Zimbabwe, how long Mutuma had been outside Zimbabwe, because most people are still thinking that you are in exile. Yeah. But maybe if they can follow some of the conversations that have taken place through the 1873 TV, they can actually get an idea as to how Mutuma left Zimbabwe. So because we might just end up repeating ourselves.
What you need is you have started the 1873 TV.
Yes, I have. I'll cue some of those that will be playing today.
How do people load?
No, they'll be streaming live on the 1873 TV.
Okay.
Yeah. So after this program, we have audio clips where you are actually explaining how you left Zimbabwe. Maybe there people can have a clear understanding.
We just put there is a channel on Facebook.
Yes.
And maybe we just need to tell people what they need to do. So
yes,
that we can share that. So Justina, next time she says something, she will have facts. Because if she can be wrong on me, then she can also be wrong on Mugabe or Mnangagwa.
All right, I've just posted the link now. Let me pin that up. No, I can't pin it up, but I've shared the link where people can actually. Okay, you can pin it from your side, yeah. Okay. So after this broadcast, we have.
So we're not talking about Mugabe as a lead. What we are saying is this person about state of knowledge. There is an allegation that a president must know more than what a human being is capable of knowing. An average human being who can be a president. We are assuming that any one of us is a president in the making. Because we often look for geniuses when no genius is required. So if we don't understand what is a leader, there are people who are practicing speeches to be like Mugabe. And they think making speeches would qualify you to be a good leader.
And well, there's still some people that believe that elections actually produce smart leaders.
That's where the challenge that you go into an election today, and the next day you are a genius. You make better choices.
Yeah. So
let's try to. Yeah, Justina, ED is my president. Yes, your president. If you know him, you are good. Okay, you may be able to influence him. But what about the millions who don't know him, who have no opportunity of knowing him? How many people were excluded because Mugabe was in government office? How many people did Mugabe not like, who never could have a relationship with government? So I'm saying let's not talk about Mugabe. We are saying state of knowledge that was You are departing from what we are saying. We are saying, let's look at state of knowledge and look at the examples. You are saying that a president ought to have a better relationship with knowledge, with facts, than an average person.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the question? Because we can wander around. Now we are talking about Mugabe's reign. I don't know whether he reigned anything or whether he was just an isolated man who grew older in a house that he never paid mortgage for.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know what occupied Mugabe, why he would stay so long in one position.
Mm-hmm.
And think he's helping the people, yet the reality was different. How could one man be talked about by so many?
Makes him a genius, eh?
Makes him a celebrity. Yeah, Justina is now talking about ET. We're not talking about ET. Give him a chance to do what, Justina? What is a chance? What do you expect of him? What can he do? He's already a prisoner. So let's understand ED Mugabe. What is the difference? Oh, Rungai says politically Mugabe was a genius. A genius of speeches or what? And economically, what can a president do economically? To hallucinate, to imagine a reality that he doesn't know? To imagine an invoice? Tendai Khan says, what are you doing? I'm not sure who is doing what now. But maybe you have just joined now. So we wanted to define an agenda to discuss next time. And that's why we wanted all of you to be what? To contribute to the kind of conversations and to define the questions that need to be answered. So that's what we're trying to do. But I guess it is never easy to define a problem. Who are you? Excuse me. Okay, who are you, Tendai Kanu? You are asking who am I? I don't know who you are.
I think we've got an audio challenge. We need to refresh the pages again.
Okay.
Yeah, let's refresh the pages.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we still have that bit crackling sound.
Okay, let me do again.
Yeah, just refresh your pages, yeah? Okay, we wait for the main broadcasting channel, then we can continue with the conversation. But for those who want to know more about the 1873, you can visit our website, which is www.the1873fm.com. Right, you can also visit us on our social media platforms, which is at the 1873 FM, at the 1873 TV. You can also download the 1873 FM app from Play Store, App Store, as well as a BlackBerry World. So right, welcome back.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's perfect now. Yes, it's perfect now.
Okay. So I guess we're trying to shift the discussion Good night, good people. My president tell your soldiers to stop this brutality against the citizens. Tendai Kutadi. And then Justina
I don't
is...
know. I don't know. Where is that conversation going to? The one where Tendai is saying, "Who are you? Excuse me." Maybe Tendai, you can explain to us what you are saying, and Grace also. Oh, okay. I don't want to in intimidation yakawanda. I guess that's directed to Tendai.
Tendai, yeah. So I think Justina is saying you want the president to do something for her to stop the violence. And I think it's too late in Australia. Tomorrow is Monday. So thank you, Justina. Hopefully you will be interested in resolving some of the problems. Don Yarwata, the events of last month should absorb the individual leader as it became clear that he is the face of a system. Okay. So I think we have a lot of misunderstanding about this idea called power. And that causes a lot of problems.
Right.
Because we always think that we know what we don't know. And yet, if we just accepted knowing very little, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We'll be okay.
I think others are asking how far an audio.
Oh,
the Savior Kasukuwere audio.
Oh, okay. All right. How many people are there?
I think let's see how many people are there. Then if the number is 50, then we can play the Savior Kasukuwere audio. But if the number is not 50, we're not playing that audio. Now we're 21, so we need we're 22, so we need more people. Then we need 50 people, then we'll play the audio. So let's share this link, let's share this stream, and then we'll play you an exclusive Savior Kasukuwere audio clip.
Yeah, we have 21, yeah. I know, you know, Mr. Mar, I thought we could give you divided pros and cons of the topic. Where are you? And yeah, I am a Zimbabwean living in the UK, not helpful so much to revise Zimbabwe, but Kungo Ukura. Okay. Aruku Ukura ndiani. Perhaps it is Ukura. So nobody forces people to. Can you stop a dog from Ukura?
No.
You would waste your time.
And you can't stop a train to have a look at why the dog is barking.
Wellington says, let's play Nyamayaro. No, let's stick to rules. We need let's say we need a community of 50 so that we can decide where we are going, Wellington. We are tired of listening just for the benefit of ourselves. Let's broaden and deepen the conversation space. I think you'll agree that all too often we limit our conversations. And we don't care about building communities. Let's build the Kasukuwere&Jonso community where we can discuss robustly and frankly and even invite them to attend. But we are crisp and we are to the point. So I'm sure, Wellington, you agree that we need to broaden, we need to deepen our conversations. We can't keep talking to people, the same old faces, the same old voices. So I hope we can use this as an opportunity to broaden and deepen conversations.
Yes.
So Wellington, let's broaden, let's deepen, get the link, share it, and then let's keep on finding each other on issues that matter. Whatever Kasukuwere says is less important than what you are not saying. So I think we can wind up. Bianca Ushe from Australia, good night. Be the best you can be wherever you are. I agree, but a nation is like a class. We accommodate this we want. We need to build communities. If you get 10 Jews, what is the relevance of Kasukuwere audio? Is he saying anything of substance to the debate? Obviously. Let's try to build our own community. And we call it a class of G40. Is that appropriate? Is G40 dead? Or perhaps we can call it a class of G40. So let's call it a class of active citizenship. Would that work for you? Okay, so that's where we are. So I think we need to be able to maybe to use the Kasukuwere as a catalyst to talk about the issues that matter. It's not Kasukuwere the voice or the what he thinks, but effectively what we learn from it. So we are not talking about Kasukuwere for the sake of talking about Kasukuwere. So are we secure in that? Oscar Tendere, knowledge needs to be shared in order to build a better future. Thank you for sharing. So we still don't have the opposing view or the clarity of this leadership conundrum. So I guess that's the Zimbabwean problem. People are focusing more on who is in, who is out, rather than what we can do together. I don't know whether you have any final words on your side.
It's let us invest in knowledge, and let us always pay attention to what is happening around us, and let us not be quick to dismiss before we actually get to find more information.
And Wellington, I think you still let's play regardless. No, let's be inclusive, Wellington. I think you'd agree that there's no loss. The audio is still there. It will wait for you. Let's do what we need to do to expand the perimeter of our conversations so that together we can build the Africa we want, because we have taken time to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, people are still talking about weak now. So
we'll only talk about weak now when we've got the facts.
What is the way forward? Elections coming up. I think elections will come and go, but literacy is more permanent. When we invest in understanding, then we know what we are voting for. So I do hope that, James, you take a cue to define what kind of issues. If we need a genius, then elections may not be the best mechanism to create a genius. So I think let's celebrate what we have. Let's think through what we need. And that's why we have put the challenge on all of us to say, let's have discussions on matters that can change the way we think and act, that can ignite us to want to be engaged, to want to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be the change that we want to see. So I think, James, you ask what is the way forward, we should be asking you. Why, yeah. Change is not always easy, but it's high time. We shift the way we think. So let's not keep on putting our faith and hopes in other individuals. Mm-hmm. Grace, why are they stripping off AD status as president? Say varu kumita kunge robot. I don't know about that. But you may have more information, Grace, that you may wish to share, how someone will become a robot in the affairs of life. So let's try to find facts. Let's talk to facts. But for today, we want to ignite people to be engaged and not to talk of an election, which is just an event, so that we can secure the kind of future we want. The moment we focus on individuals, we will lose our focus. If we know what is at stake, it means we will be active in ensuring that we build networks that assist us in thinking and acting outside the box. So on my side, I think thank you very much. We'll come back again, and perhaps by then we'll have something to think and talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But let's also invest in this president, because there are many people who want to be president without investing in knowing what the president does or should do. So we keep on in blind faith, exposing individuals to this office who may not be prepared to do what they should do or expected to do. If we don't know where we are going, any road will always take us there. So let's define where we want, let's also define the roadmap. And if elections are going to take us where we want to go to, let's put our faith in igniting people to think elections, act elections, so that together the change that we seek can be delivered. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. And you can follow up more broadcasts on the 1873 TV coming up shortly.